Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Fit Facts and Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Liv Murphy of Live Fit, and I am so excited for this episode today. I have Sami here, and she is another health and fitness coach that I met doing a group program with Michaela J, who was on the podcast a few weeks ago. So I'm super excited. We're going to get into just like a little gym girl chat and talk about some fitness controversies. So, do you want to introduce yourself a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. What is going on, everyone? My name is Sami, and I'm a women's fitness and empowerment coach. The MMM method was life-changing with Michaela. I've followed her forever, and she was really my influence to want to change women's lives. So I love that I met Liv there, and I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to talk about today was the impact of COVID on the health and fitness industry, which I personally think was so huge in many different ways, but it definitely made the online fitness space like way more prominent and way more like common to have like a coach online from
Mhm.
like out of state, out of province, out of country even. And like there's so many more coaches that you can work with when you don't have to work with someone in your immediate area because it's so important to have like a coach who you can really relate to and connect with. So I think that is one of the main things that came out of COVID and the fitness industry. What do you think?
So honestly, I was one of those girls. So for me, my health and fitness journey didn't even start until after COVID. So I was one of those girls who I got home from college and I had gained like 15, 20 pounds just within the short couple of months I was there because I wasn't doing any movement and I was eating like chicken tenders and fries. And you can absolutely do that. But when you're doing it like every day for every meal, I was just such a picky eater. I ended up putting on a lot of weight and then we got sent home via COVID. So I kind of just fell into such a depression, and it was those influencers that got me out. Like, I remember for specifics, like her name is Gina, she's a bodybuilder, and I used to watch her content. And I remember her saying, like, you can do workouts at home, and like they just kind of like give you that inspiration and permission of like, oh, I can try this new thing. So I was that girl, like, right outside using like water jugs as like dumbbells and going for hot girl walks. That's when I started listening to Michaela. So I feel like for me, COVID was that massive shift because you had to
Mhm.
stay home and you had to look in the mirror. And when I looked in the mirror, I did not like what I saw at
Mhm.
all. So I think it gave you permission to do something about it because we had no other choice.
Yeah, for sure. I love that for you. And I know so many people who were in the same situation because they were like, wow, I finally like have some time to focus on what I really want to focus on. And like everyone was starting new hobbies and a lot of people had fitness related goals that they wanted. So it really was the perfect time to get into it. But I saw a lot of the reverse happening too of people who were like already gym girlies and just like didn't know how to get themselves to work out in that at home environment. And while there was a lot of people starting their journeys and making huge progress from home, I find there's also a lot of people who felt lost without the gym and really struggled to make it happen during COVID and just gained all the weight during COVID. So it was definitely really positive for some people in terms of their health and fitness and like really negative for others.
Yeah, I can honestly totally relate to that, because when Tom and I moved here, we moved from Connecticut to South Carolina in July. We used our apartment gym for about 6 months, and I fell into that where I was such a gym girly. I had such a routine of going to the gym every day and then just being so secluded in my bubble. I didn't even notice I was doing it, but I see what you're happening, and I started binge eating again. And like I started to lose that like just I feel like that connection with the gym of like having that routine, because it was like, oh, I'll wake up, get out of bed, go there. So the intention
Mhm.
there anymore. So I totally understand where some people might have really had some negative effects from that. And I had never
Mhm.
actually thought about that side of things, just because for me and a lot of my clients, like we did have that positive effect. So
Mhm.
it's a very good point to bring up.
Mhm. Okay, awesome. Let's get into some eating disorder talk. So I know you had mentioned to me that this was something that you kind of struggled with in the past. So why don't you start us off on this one?
Okay. So when it came to this topic, it's very sensitive to me. So my best friend in high school, I actually was just thinking about this the other day. I was like, she had an eating disorder from freshman year to senior year, like a very long time. And I had no idea. And I was like, I wonder what could have happened, like if I could have helped her, if I just knew the signs or if someone had like given me that kind of knowledge. So I watched her really struggle with her relationship with eating. And then when I eventually started to get my own health and fitness journey, a lot of people around me were very concerned about that. So when it came to tracking my food or being a little bit more on top of it, it was associated with being anorexic. So I used to get comments about that. And I don't think they realized that those comments were slowly ingraining those ideas into my head, but very quickly after did it get very easy to become obsessed with my numbers, like to the point where if I was over my fat, carbs, whatever, I'd feel so guilty, and then that would cause me to binge eat. So I struggled. I never had a specific one, but binge eating was always like my forte. That's how I put on my weight. Was I used to eat a lot at night and it
Mhm.
just, it was ice cream, popcorn, cookies, all those yummy things. And every single night I would do that. And then also when I started my fitness journey, I made the mistake of like starving myself all day. So whenever I would go out to eat, I'd be like, okay, you know what? I'm just not going to eat anything for the whole day. I'd be feeling nauseous by the time we got to dinner, but that's what I thought was correct. So I feel like I've had a lot of experience with it, and it's very triggering, like it's very
Mhm.
much so a topic where so many girls can just feel this in their souls, because a
Mhm.
lot of them have either seen somebody they love deal with it or they have had to like overcome it themselves or still are struggling
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah. And it's really hard too when like you're working with someone with an eating disorder because you want them to be aware of what they're eating and like tracking things. But like there's a fine line for those people who've struggled in the past between like tracking for awareness and falling into old habits. And
Yes.
I think that's like a major thing because a lot of people, when they start, trying to lose weight and they don't have a coach to work with, they usually do go straight to restricting as much as possible because, everyone loves those quick results, wants the quick results. But then it leads to that binging when you're not eating enough and when you're not really sure of like how much protein you should eat and stuff like that, that is really like the protein's going to keep you more full. And you know, I think that more education needs to be out there on nutrition and on macros because everyone, it seems like a lot of my clients anyways, usually restrict themselves before coming to a coach and like struggle with their eating habits before coming to a coach. And then you have to, repair the relationship with food and repair their metabolism and try to teach them to track for, awareness and that like you only need to be like on par like 80% of the time. Like you have some wiggle room, but it's good to know what's in what you're eating and where you're at. And that's what you need to do to be able to hit your long-term goals.
I totally agree. Like, why is this stuff not in health class? Like I
Yeah.
don't remember, and it's so funny because I always remember my friends being like, we're never going to use the stuff that we learn in school. And I
Hmm.
think that, like, of course, you always do. Like, even if you don't think that you do, you're always going to use what you learn, right? But at the end of the day, like, I don't hear that stuff being taught. I mean, I
Mhm.
certainly wasn't taught. The way that I grew up is that we had like all this like cooked food. It was like, oh, you just like put the mashed potatoes into the bowl and then you eat it, you know? And it's like it was a lot of processed food. It was a lot of eating out, you know? And when you're not being told the knowledge to learn these things, a lot of times I notice that like you won't even have the interest in them, you
Yeah,
know? So
yeah,
then these girls, like, not only are they don't have the knowledge, but they're not even like interested. They're not even aware to like want to do it because it's just like, oh, well, I was taught this, so I'm just gonna stay here, like where I'm comfortable, you know?
yeah. Yeah, and like that learning is a huge thing because like there's so much information online and most of it is like cut out this food group or it's like look at this celebrity diet and it's like no food and like even like if you go to the doctor's office and they think you should lose weight they tell you to like eat less and move more but they don't really like look at where you're at right now because you could already be restricting and have just like hit this plateau and like you're already under eating and then your doctor because they don't have much time I mean I'm not too familiar with what the healthcare system is like in America but in Canada you get like 5 minutes in the doctor's office and you have to wait 2 months to see them. It is free
Wow.
granted but there's mega wait lists to see a doctor. It's really hard. And then, yeah, you get 5 minutes in there. They don't really go into your history if like you're talking about weight loss, and then they just, give you the basic eat
Mhm.
less, move more.
I totally relate. I mean, I actually just saw my own doctor, and she was a new doctor that I was seeing here, and I brought in a protein shake. And she told me, she was like, you are totally overeating because I was talking about, I used to have acid reflux in high school. So I was discussing that, and she was like, well, you're definitely overeating. She was like, you should be splitting that protein shake into three. And I was like, but this is only 30 grams of protein. Like I need to hit, like to be healthy, I need to hit at least 120 grams of protein, right? I want to keep 1 pound of protein for every single pound I want to keep. And I'm talking to her and I'm like explaining this to her and she's like, nope, yeah, that's still too much though. Like your stomach can't digest that, yada, yada, yada. And I was just like, okay, so then like what is the alternative? Like I feel like they always are
Mhm.
super encouraging on like eat less. If you want to lose weight, eat less. But like, okay, but you're still telling me to eat less, and I'm not in the position that I need to at
Yeah,
all. You
yeah,
know? So I was just like, oh, okay, I get it. But at the same time, I was just like, I'm gonna keep listening to my body. You know, I'm gonna follow my body's intuition. It wants that protein shake right now. Like I was hungry. So
yeah,
I'm gonna drink
yeah,
it.
for sure. And like, again, I'm not 100% sure what the difference are in like criteria to be a doctor in like Canada versus America, but like I know that in Canada, you need absolutely no nutritional knowledge to be a doctor. Yes, you have to take some of the same courses that I took, um, like biochemistry and like know how the body works, but it's nothing like nutrition related at all, unless like they chose to take some electives. Like doctors don't need nutritional knowledge. And so many people think that they're more educated than like you or me who solely studied, how to lose weight, like how to work out, how to eat. Um, but they, in most cases, don't know more.
Wow, that I did not know that actually. So you learn something new every day, but like, damn, am I gonna be talking about this?
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. All right. So let's move into fitness influencer accountability. I know you really wanted to talk about our responsibility to women and how, you love to promote what you promote. And I really wanted to talk about in general, like the influencers out there who aren't very educated and are just like, this is what I do. And I feel like it can be really great having all these people giving information, but it can be really bad too, because, people listen to whatever they hear and don't really go deeper into, the information and where it comes from and what your credentials are and the research and all of that.
I totally agree. I actually had a client and she sent me a form video and she was like, "Oh, I haven't been doing it like that. Like, should I do it like this?" And I was like, "Personally, I wouldn't because that would kill my lower back." But I was like, "But maybe that works for her." And I feel like that's where I come to this point of like, if you are posting on social media, it is your fucking responsibility to be as authentic as possible and make sure that it's value that's actually going to help somebody, because at the end of the day, we can have one machine and there can be 10 different ways to use it, and who's
Mhm.
to say that like one person's way is wrong? Sometimes my form looks very different than my partner's form, because I'm shorter. That's how it feels more comfortable for me. That's how I get the muscle to have that activation. So I feel like in this case, you are going to see so many different pieces of information. And that's why I truly think it's your responsibility. Like, if you're putting it on the internet, make sure it's going to be factual because the video that she sent me, like, she was going to throw at her back. And I told her that straight out. I was like, if you do it that way, this is what's going to end up happening, So
Mhm.
maybe let's not. But that's where I very much so encourage my girls. Like if they're curious about something or if they want to try an exercise, I'm like, hey, send it over to me. Like send it to my Instagram, send it to my TikTok because I know that they're watching it, right? Like
Mhm.
we know that like so many of our clients are probably watching other influencers too. So it's like, hey,
Mhm.
fact check it with me. I'll let you know what my opinion is and you can take it from there. And I think that still gives them the free will to see like what works for them, but you still have that authority of like, okay, I personally think that's wrong. If I were you, I would hinge my hips this way or whatever critique you want to make.
Yeah. And that is like one of the huge benefits of working with a coach, right? That you don't have to like take in all this information that's coming at you from so many different angles and like try to figure it out on your own. You can just send it to your coach and be like, I'm interested about this. Like, what do you think about it? And actually, get answers instead of like going down like a Google rabbit hole after, seeing a couple videos on TikTok.
I feel you because I used to be that girl, like I
Mhm.
definitely I never had a coach. I had a coach for about 2 months and that taught me a lot. But I was still in the point of my fitness journey where I just wanted to figure it out myself. And now that I'm a coach, I'm like, oh my God, I wish that I hadn't. But
Mhm.
I know that if I didn't make all the endless mistakes that now I talk about with my clients, I wouldn't have
Mhm.
learned as much as I did. And I honestly probably wouldn't have wanted to go get my personal training and nutrition certification because I got so fed up with like everything on social media. I was like, F this, I'm gonna go learn from the books. And that's what made me decided to get it in the first place. I didn't even intend to be a coach. I just wanted to learn
Mhm.
for myself. I was like, okay, I want to lose weight. Let's go.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm the same way. Like I started my university degree in business. And I mean, it's kind of ironic now that I do run my own business, but like I didn't
Ooh.
really like even think like dropping out was an option at that point. I was like, I'm already here. Like I was living on campus. I was like, I'll just, take something I'm a little bit more interested in. And that was like when I really started my health and fitness journey in first year. And I like literally only made it one semester in business. And I was like, I hate this, but like I'm trying to lose weight and I don't know how. So I'm just going to take nutrition and maybe I'll make a career out of it, or maybe I'll change my mind again, but it's completely fine, right?
And here you are changing your
Yeah.
life, and
Yeah.
I love that because I think a lot of people like they look at their past and they sometimes see regret or they sometimes see like, oh my God, like I wish I did that. I love those parts of my life. Like it was definitely
Mhm.
the hardest times ever. Oh my God, not taking away from 19-year-old Sammy crying herself to sleep every night over class. But if I didn't go through all the things that I went through, I would not be the person that's like sitting here right now. And I think that comes with like a
Mhm.
lot of healing, but also just like reflection of like shit. Like you just said, I
Yeah.
never would have thought that that would have happened. But if you weren't open to changing your mind again, you wouldn't be here. Like in the MMA
Yeah.
method, you would have never taken that massive leap and been like, okay, I'm going fucking all in, I'll live. Nobody else. Like it's about me
Mhm.
right now. And you've just floored it since. So I think it's a
Yeah.
great inspiration to your clients and girls all over.
Yes. Well, thank you.
I got you.
All right, let's move into body dysmorphia. So, this is something that so many people in the fitness industry struggle with, and like it isn't even talked about often. Like, when I was on my weight loss journey for the first time, like it was so weird to me because I had already lost like 70 pounds. Like, I like literally had like abs pop through. And I didn't even see it. Like I was like in the gym, like on the Stairmaster for an hour, like going on about how I want abs. And my friends were like, you have abs. Like they're right there. And I would like be ordering clothes online and I'd be like, okay, surely I'm not a small. Like I have to order this in a medium at least. A medium is a safe bet. And it would come in and I'd be like, these are way too big for me. And I
Mhm.
would just like mind blown. Like I couldn't see the amount of progress I made until I literally got pregnant and gained it all back and looked at pictures and was like, I was so in shape at that point, like so in shape. Like I can see my abs now. Like why couldn't I see them then? But gaining the weight back definitely made me appreciate it more and be so ready to, do the journey all over again in a more appreciative manner.
Mhm.
Yeah, but what do you think?
Honestly, I totally relate. I think body dysmorphia is something that every single person deals with, whether you're a man, a female, or whatever it is you choose to identify. Like, it's something that we have and it's a feeling about ourselves. So I can definitely relate. I mean, my entire life I had issues looking in the mirror. So that was like my major breaking point was when I finally did see like, holy shit, I gained some weight and I didn't like it. And that was like my cut off decision of I'm gonna lose it. And I never stopped from that like specific moment. However, I did lose my 60 pounds. And same as you, it was like when I looked in the mirror, I still felt like that thick girl, like I still
Mhm.
identified as her. And even to this day, when we had moved here and we were working out at this home gym, I used to like tell my partner, I'd be like, oh, I feel a little chunky today. Like, is my weight coming back? And he'd be like, Sammy, no, you look amazing. Like, and he would tell me, he's
Mhm.
like, truthfully, I think it's in your head. And he was so real with me. And what really helped me was the mirror method. Is this something that you've like heard of at all?
No, I haven't.
Okay. So this was something I've heard from a couple different coaches, but I kind of made my own way to do it. So basically, what I do is I go and I stand in the mirror. And first, I have a dance party. Okay. So I did this with my clients today because we're having a mini challenge where every day they have to do a dance party. So I looked in the fucking mirror and I sang a badass song to myself, like literally in the mirror, like vowing myself, being like, I love you, like look in it and like, because you have to get more comfortable in the mirror. If you're not
Mhm.
comfortable there, the only way that you're going to get comfortable is if you face it, right? So I would
Mhm.
raise my vibration. I would get myself feeling good, a song that I like, a song that made me feel badass, right? And
Mhm.
then I want you to look at yourself as naked as you possibly can. So for me, I started this before I even lost my weight. I'm gonna be
Mhm.
honest, I had to start with shorts and a bra. Like I couldn't see myself naked and actually like feel the feelings I wanted to feel. I just wasn't there yet when it came to my journey. So it was
Mhm.
something I continuously worked on. And then eventually I was able to take my underwear off. I was able to be like just me, mind, body, soul in front of the mirror. And what I want you to do is I want you to comment on every single part of your body. So for me, I couldn't stand my thighs. I couldn't stand my cellulite on my butt. So I used to literally like turn my back and be like, I love you, butt. I love you, cellulite. I love
I
you,
love
thigh.
that.
Yeah, and it's like because my shaman always said he was like your cells are listening to you and I'm the queen of saying mean things to myself, right? So it's like I need to tell myself the positive things because naturally my brain goes to the negative. It goes to the catastrophic, oh my God, something awful is going to happen. That's something I'm
Mhm.
still rewiring to this day. So you have to
Mhm.
actually be intentional with it. So if you're struggling with the body dysmorphia, this is something that has helped me and my clients difference tremendously. And it's not something that's going to help overnight, but if you do it consistently, you're going to notice just a massive shift. The next time you look in the mirror one day, it's just going to be like, I am pretty. And you're going to be like, oh my God, did I just say that? You know? And then you're going
Yeah.
to know, like, holy shit, this works.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love that. I'm definitely gonna take that from you and tell my clients to do it.
Me
Um,
too.
but yeah, it's incredible. Like also like what difference it makes when you are working on your mindset as well as working on your health and fitness, because I tried to start a weight loss journey so many times before I actually followed through. And like sometimes I even lost like 30 or 40 pounds, but I all like reverted back because I hadn't like changed my mindset around it. Like, yes, I got a little bit more confident when I lost like 30 pounds, of course, but I was still being hard on myself. I still had a bad relationship with food and a bad relationship with my body. And when you don't work on your mind, that is what's going to happen. Like, you need to come at it from a place of love for yourself and not a place of hate for yourself to end up actually feeling love for yourself.
Mhm. I completely understand. I think for me, I was to the point where I had despised myself so much that that only option was love. You know how they say that quote of like, there's a very fine line between hate and love? That was
Mhm.
me. So I think that's why I'm so lucky, was because I hated myself for so many years. And, people to this day will like comment on my transformation photos and be like, Sammy, I thought you were beautiful back then. And I'm like, thank you so much. I appreciate that. But I never felt that way. My
Mhm.
insecurities started before I even had fucking puberty. So if
Mhm.
I didn't feel that way, nobody else could change my mindset about that. So by the time it came to me looking in the mirror after college and being like, I'm gonna get this weight off, love really was the only option. Like I got into spirituality, into affirmations, meditations, and
Mhm.
having a positive perspective, if I'm honest, probably a year before I even started working out. So I guess I did really start with the mindset first. And that's what I always tell my girls. I'm like, if you don't believe you can lose the weight, no matter what you do, you're not going to lose it. Like
For
you're going to lose
sure.
a little bit of it. Yeah, that's totally possible. But
Mhm.
will you keep it off? And that's the part where I feel like I myself and so many other people struggled, is to
Yeah.
actually maintain it. And that's why it's a lifestyle.
Yes. Yes, I love that. You gotta always preach, habit change when there's so many like quick fixes out here. Um, yeah.
The
And
apple
like,
cider pills, like I tried all that stuff, Queens.
yeah,
It does not work. It wasted my
no,
money, but
no, it
it did
doesn't
not
work.
work.
And the thing is too, like you build so much confidence by actually following through on what you say you're going to do.
Mhm.
Like I
Mhm.
find that like even when you just, you start working on your mindset, you start working on your health and fitness like together, like even when you're not to your goal yet, and even when you're like still, you don't entirely love yourself yet, but you're really working at it, you start to feel more confident like immediately because you're finally taking the action that you wanted to take and you can see yourself, making progress in the right direction. And I think that really is what changes your mindset overall, is like taking that one step at a time and knowing that this is like a long-term game you're playing and really seeing what happens when you fully commit to yourself and not just like, oh, I'm going to see how much I can do in these 2 months. And then I'm
Yeah.
going to go on vacation. And then, after you get back from vacation, you completely forget about everything you did before vacation?
And that's like the biggest part. For example, one of my clients right now, she's going to California and she's freaking out. She's like, Sammy, I know I'm gonna need your support. She has an entire itinerary on how to stay on track while going on vacation. And I told her, I was like, girl, it's fun. Go have fun with it. I think we
Mhm.
put so much pressure on, oh my God, we have to do all of these things. And we make it such a bigger like picture, but when we just kind of dim it down, it's like, all right, like what do we need to live? Right? We need
Mhm.
food, we need water, and we need shelter. We need a safe environment. So when it comes to your fitness journey, it's like, okay, we just need food, we need water, we need some movement to make sure that we're moving our body, we're giving it that love, and start there, you know? So
Mhm.
when you're on vacation, oh my gosh, how many of us like go crazy with walks? I know that I do.
Mhm.
You hit your step goal easily, you know? So I think it's like when it comes to the habit stacking, that is what makes it so much easier when it comes to every single day, even on vacation. So
Yeah.
I personally love taking the challenge of like, okay, how can I still embody being a fit girl, even in Costa Rica, even in Bali, even in Kelowna? Like, no matter where I go, I want to bring that side of me with me because it just means
Mhm.
like taking care of myself.
Mhm. Yeah, and even if you don't have like access to a gym or like you don't have complete control over your meals, like you can still hit your steps, like go walk down the beach. Like that is both fun vacation activity and helping you reach your fitness goals. And like maybe you're going out for supper every night, but you still, try to have a protein packed breakfast and lunch. Like you can do, what you can control while you're there. And then even if you, miss a day with a walk because it's like weather sucks or like you eat out all day one day, like it really isn't going to make that big of a difference if you come back and get back to your normal routine ASAP. Like the main mistake people make is like being like, oh my God, I definitely ruined all my progress on this vacation. What is even the point anymore? And then they continue to stay in those habits and go right back to their old self. And that's the only thing that ruins their progress. The vacation didn't ruin the progress. The all or nothing mindset ruined the progress.
I absolutely agree. And that's why one of the key things that's helped me, because the past 2 years I've loved traveling. So one thing that helps me is as soon as I come home, I take a day for myself, right? I can do whatever I want on this day. If I want to sleep all day, I sleep all day. If I want to go for a hot girl walk, I go for a hot girl walk. A lot of the time, I'll spend it cleaning, maybe going grocery shopping, getting some good food, like however I can set myself up for success or whatever I need. So I think it's like that is the mental refresh that I need when it comes to back on from vacation. Because like you just said, it's like that mindset of all or nothing. But when you come home and you take that day and you just regroup, you are going to show up so much better because you just planned and you're just like, oh, well, you know what? I did go grocery shopping. Let me just meal prep, you know? And then it kind of like starts to like the domino effect. And then
Mhm.
it makes it so much easier to get back into it, you know? Because it's like, oh, I took a day. I can go to the gym tomorrow. You know, it's different
Mhm.
rather than like coming home and you're like, oh my God, I didn't do anything, so I'm not going to do anything at all. Or the opposite, when you come home and you're like, holy shit, I have to make up for all of this food I ate. And you have that guilt approach, right? So
Mhm.
I think coming back at it from like a clear head is just so
Mhm.
beneficial. And that's what I have my clients do. And that's when they see the most success is when they take that day and then they just get right back into it.
Mhm. Yeah, that's awesome. And I for sure, like, I even do that with my clients every Sunday. I'm like, this is your plan day. This is your prep day. This is your you day. Like, I mean, even if you have kids, like, try to, get your partner, get your mom, get someone to like help you with them for a little bit. Make sure you know what workouts you're getting in on what days. Make sure you know what you're eating this week. You have your groceries, you have some meals cooked, if you work like a full-time job and you need to have like lunches ready to go. And also like reflect on how you did last week, set goals for this new week coming. And I feel like that makes a huge difference, just really having, a day to reflect and plan and set yourself up for success all over again.
Oh, yeah, I completely agree.
All right, let's get into our last topic, which is artificial sweeteners versus sugar. Um, this is something that I really wanted to talk about because I've seen some new studies come out lately, and I honestly am like kind of concerned by it because like aspartame especially has been studied for like the last like 40 years, and the articles now, like the titles of them, like specifically the title of the one I just read was that aspartame is now considered a possible carcinogen. So if anyone has read this title, I'm going to go more into the research today because I feel like the title is mildly misleading. And I feel like it's scaring a lot of people into thinking that sugar is the better option. And I definitely don't believe it is. Like, we don't need more studies done on sugar because we know the effect of sugars on the body. And having too high sugar every day, having high blood sugar even leads to so many more health problems down the road. And I'm not here promoting that consume your body weight in aspartame every day because they did find like a slight correlation, obviously, to be able to consider it a possible carcinogen. But they were studying people who are drinking like 9 to 15 diet pops a day for like 20 years. So if you're someone who's in that range, maybe try to cut back. But if you're someone who has like a glass of pop when you're drinking like once a month, I think that the diet is the better option. And that is just what I think personally, based on reading, all of the information I read during my degree and also continuing to keep up with research that's going on with it now. And then there's also other artificial sweeteners that haven't been proven to be bad in any way. Like sucralose is in most protein powders, protein bars, protein snacks of any kind, and there's no research against it. But stevia is also a thing, and it is an all natural option. So I usually try to go to stevia when I can because I know it's all natural and I know that there's a very low chance of it causing any kind of issues. But I definitely do consume sucralose and aspartame occasionally because I think it's better than the packed full of sugar version. What do you think?
Yeah, so honestly, I agree. I mean, Tom and I, one thing we do for like cute date nights is we try to create a new meal. So whatever it is that we decide we want to make. And then we always get like a or it's like a diet Dr. Pepper or a diet Mountain Dew, or we try to pick like a fun flavor from when we were kids. It's like our inner child
Mhm.
coming out. And I'll be honest, like it settles really well in my stomach. I don't have too many like bubbles, or it works really well for me. And even with you talking about the protein bars and the protein shakes, okay, I worked 3 jobs and was doing my health and fitness journey. I'm not gonna lie, I had a protein bar and a protein shake every day for months at one point.
Mhm.
Just because like I needed to get my protein in. I was working 3 jobs and I didn't have that many options. And this is where it comes back to like what is authentic to you, because I eat that stuff. So if I came out here and
Mhm.
was like, no, don't eat it, it's like, well, I eat it every single day. But somebody else who might have been affected, maybe they have a different opinion on that. But I would say for me, I always steer my clients in the direction of like, hey, why don't we go for the diet or like the no sugar and stuff like that. But I have heard that opposite side where they're like, it might not be as good for you. But like you said, we've done so many studies on sugar and how sugar's not good for us. So it's like, what is the better, worse option here? Like which one
Yeah.
is that? So yeah, I completely agree with you.
Yeah. And like obviously everyone's different too. Like I do know that some people who have like stomach issues are more sensitive to these types of things and like the pre-bottled like protein shakes and that kind of stuff that you can get on the go. And like those people may have a harder time, you know, with finding alternatives, but like there's still ways to like make alternatives. Like you can always make protein bars. You can use stevia instead. You can use a little bit of honey instead. It's a little bit of sugar, but it is better than using like a whole cup of white sugar and something. So like there's always ways around it if it is something that like upsets your stomach or causes bloating or issues for you. But I think for most people, like it really is the better solution, especially if you're busy. Because like I was in the same position before. I was working 3 jobs as a student, like working out at 5 a.m. to like get it done with, and then school and work until like 9 a.m. and doing it all again the next day. and like hardly ever had a day off. So like, yeah, I also worked at a supplement store. So like when in doubt, you know that there's food there for you to just buy a protein snack. But yeah, I wouldn't have got through my fitness journey either if it weren't for those convenient things. And, you know, you got to do what you got to do. If you really want to make it happen, those things are necessary sometimes. And I don't think it's the worst thing for you.
Yeah, I agree. And I think like just take it from a girl who has celiac and does have stomach issues. I have found some ways and some certain supplements that don't sit that well with my stomach, but that's why I always try to say, like, be aware. If your stomach is hurting after you eat something, have a little notes. This is what I tell my clients. I'm like, have a note section of like, okay, this has really been bothering my stomach lately. Maybe I'm gonna steer away from that and have a notes where this is really making me feel good. I feel really energized. I don't feel bloated. I feel like I want to keep going throughout my day. I don't feel sluggish. Like something that makes you feel good, put it on that side of the list. And that's something that helped me a lot because I did run into those shakes. Like I've had a couple shakes that have just absolutely hurt my belly, but then that's
Mhm.
what's helped me find shakes that don't hurt it. And then that helps me so
Mhm.
much in the long run. So I think it's also not discrediting an entire section of food or an entire
Mhm.
idea just because like one thing didn't work for you.
Mhm. Yeah, so true. And there's so many different types of protein powders and protein drinks out there that I'm like certain that there is one that is going to work for every person, no matter what the situation is.
I agree completely.
Yeah. All right. Well, I am so glad I had you on my podcast today. This was such a good conversation.
It was a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem. All right. Well, I will see you guys all next week. And, you know, if you like this episode, leave a rate and review. And the episode will be up Thursday.
Woo!
Yay. All right. See ya.
See ya.